Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots have announced that Stephon Gilmore is on the trade block for the New England Patriots. Now, Gilmore is arguably the best corner in the league. I think Marshawn Lattimore might get the edge because of his ability to lock down. Stephon Gilmore is more of a kind of zone coverage guy, but he covers an entire side of the field. Last year, you were better off, if you're a quarterback, you're better off not throwing on the right side of the field because that's how good Stephon Gilmore is at the cornerback position. Now, if you look at the Vikings, we run a lot, and I mean all the time, zone coverage. Vikings run so much zone coverage. Of course, we have Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris, the best safety duo in the league, and then Eric Kendricks, who is also amazing at zone coverage. Outside of that, we need help on that cornerback position. You saw last week the corners were awful. They were terrible. Now, you have to give it to them, though. Of course, you can blame the corners for last week's game, and you're probably going to see more of that coming forward, that teams are going to throw all over the Minnesota Vikings because they have terrible corners. Now, you have to give it to them, though. They are very young. So trading for Stephon Gilmore might be a big of a risk. He was the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year and unexpected. I mean, not unexpected, very expected. Stephon Gilmore had an amazing year last year. I'm not surprised at all that he was Defensive Player of the Year. You could argue MVP, but of course MVP is a quarterback's award. You give it to quarterback every year because obviously quarterbacks are always the most valuable player on every single team. So Stephon Gilmore is on the trade block. Vikings will have to give up a lot if they are going to trade for Stephon Gilmore, which is why I would say don't trade for him right now because we need one corner to step up. If some corner can step up and be that starting corner that can play either right corner, left corner, I don't care who it is, they need to step up. I don't care if that's Cameron Dancer. We saw some of him last week. Cameron Dancer was looking like the best corner last week. I was surprised. He was our third-round draft pick, and we didn't even see Jeff Gladney, our first-round draft pick. I didn't even see Jeff Gladney play last week. Why does this keep falling? I don't know. Okay, and then, of course, Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes is our starting corner right now. We need him to step up. We saw Mike Hughes in his first season when he was a rookie, and he looked better right then than he does all of his other seasons after these injuries. Injuries really are ruining Mike Hughes, and that's the reason why he is really flopping, and I wouldn't expect much from Mike Hughes this season. I'm sorry. I mean, I was a huge Mike Hughes fan at the start. I was a huge Mike Hughes fan at the rookie season. I was like, finally, we got a good corner. And at the time, Xavier Rhodes was looking really good. Xavier Rhodes is looking really good. And I'm like, okay, we finally are locked at the cornerback position. And we had Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. So it was looking like the Vikings were a threat. Teddy Bridgewater went out with an injury. Xavier Rhodes really looked like a terrible corner going forward. And then Mike Hughes has had his injuries, and the Vikings, what looked good with the Vikings just ended up all looking bad. So now Mike Hughes, we need him to step up. Holton Hill, I've been saying I don't think Holton Hill is a starting corner. Holton Hill, you want to keep him on the roster. You want to play him on just about every game. But from what we saw last week, Holton Hill cannot play a full game. We saw him fill in for Mike Hughes when he was injured, Trey Waynes when he was injured, Mackenzie Alexander, Xavier Rhodes when they were injured. Holton Hill looked good for filling in for those injured corners that the Vikings seem to get every single season. He looked good. You don't want Holton Hill as a starting corner. I am sorry. You don't want him as a starting corner, and that's what we saw last week. Cameron Dancer is great. Cameron Dancer is great. He can cover his guy amazing. He did that in Mississippi State. With that being said, he's not athletically built like a corner, but hey, if he can do anything close to what he did in college in the NFL, great player. Use Cameron Dancer as a starting corner. Jeff Gladney, where is that guy? Where is Jeff Gladney? I don't know where he was last week. I didn't see him play one down. He's a rookie corner that was drafted in the first round, and I thought he was going to be starting out of college. I thought he would be alongside Mike Hughes. Apparently, that's just not the case. They wanted to start Holton Hill in his place, and like I said, Holton Hill is not a starting corner. I've seen nothing from Holton Hill that made him look like a starting corner. Holton Hill is not a bad corner. Don't get me wrong. He is not a bad corner, but you want someone else to start over Holton Hill because I don't care if that's Cameron Dancer or Jeff Gladney. You want someone to start over Holton Hill. So as of right now, should the Vikings trade for Stephon Gilmore? No. They're going to have to give up a lot if they want to get Stephon Gilmore. He is arguably the best cornerback in the league right now. So the Vikings will have to give up a lot. And from what we saw from Stephon Gilmore, he wasn't an amazing corner when he was with the Tennessee Titans. He went to the Patriots and just looked great. Every player that goes to the Patriots, or just about every player that goes to the Patriots, looks amazing. You remember Malcolm Butler when he was the starting corner? Yeah, they got rid of him, and now he doesn't look anything close to as good. So who knows? Stephon Gilmore might come to the Vikings if they trade for him and just look awful. Vikings will have to give up a lot, and there's not something that I think that they should risk as of right now. Halfway through the season, though, if no corner steps up, if no corner looks like actually a starting corner who can lock down some of these great wide receivers that the Vikings are going to have to play going forward. Look at T.Y. Hilton next week, who I don't think any corner is going to be able to guard T.Y. Hilton. He's one of the best route runners in the entire league. I don't think any of our corners can guard him. And Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers is going to pass all over us. So that's going to be scary to see. And they also have that who's their other well, we'll be covering this later. We will be covering this later. So Vikings have a lot of draft capital, so they can trade for Stephon Gilmore. Now, of course, Vikings also have Anthony Harris, who was amazing safety, great safety. They tagged him this year, and I thought that they were going to end up trading him. Anthony Harris is still in the trade block. With that being said, are they going to trade him, though? Because Vikings outside of Harrison Smith, who's arguably still the best. Okay, I don't think he's the best safety in the league, but Harrison Smith is still one of the best safeties in the league. They don't have anybody to fill in. If we get rid of Harrison Smith, all we have is, if we get rid of Anthony Harris, all we have is Harrison Smith at the safety position. I know they have Dan Chisena. I think he was from the Canadian League. I think he plays wide receiver, but he's also like a safety or something like that. Still, I don't want to see him starting at all, and getting rid of Anthony Harris would be a big, big mistake for the Vikings as of right now. It was looking like a great choice this offseason. It looked like the Vikings could have got rid of him, and we drafted 2 safeties in the late rounds, and of course both of them aren't even on the roster. I think one is actually on the practice squad, but still, if that safety's on the practice squad, he's not what you want to start. Too bad Jaron Kearse and Andrew Sendejo aren't here anymore. They had a great season last year. Both Andrew Sendejo and Jaron Kearse looked really good at the Minnesota Vikings last year. And also, Minnesota Vikings are suffering on cap space right now. After that Dalvin Cook contract, which Dalvin Cook's contract was well deserved, obviously. Still, 5 years was that's kind of a reach right there. But still, after that Dalvin Cook contract, Vikings are really low on cap space. Now, of course, Yannick Ngakoue took a team-friendly deal. Riley Reef took a team-friendly deal, and Kirk Cousins did. So we did clear up a gap of cap space, but the problem is that Dalvin Cook contract is not going to allow us to pay Stephon Gilmore if the Vikings do trade for Stephon Gilmore, which if they do, they'll have to give up a lot. Possibly this year's first-round pick or 2021's first-round pick, maybe like a 4th or a 2nd in some years to come. Although I don't know if the Patriots and Bill Belichick want a first-round draft pick. They'd probably take like a 2nd and a 3rd and replace that. I don't think Bill Belichick cares about first-round picks, honestly. He just drafts in 2nd, 3rd round and drafts whoever is the most athletic guy there. He doesn't even care about their tape in college. Anyways, so will the Vikings trade for Stephon Gilmore? Going forward, it's very possible. The Vikings have one of the best rosters in the league, and I've been saying this nonstop. They have a great offense and a lot of good players in defense. Their defense needs a lot of help. Their defense is one of the worst in the league right now and needs a lot of help, but there is a lot of great players on that defense. Of course, you have Yannick Ngakoue, you have Afadio Denebo, Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith, Anthony Harris, Eric Kendricks. Anthony Barr is looking pretty rough again. He hasn't had a good season in a couple of years. But outside of that, Vikings have a stacked roster. They could use help on the interior line. Of course, the Vikings always need help on that interior line. And they could use help at corner, obviously. Which, of course, those are like the 2 big positions on defense at all. They're 2 of the biggest positions. Of course, you need a pass rusher. You need someone who's a pass rusher. I don't care if it's a linebacker or anything. You need one person who is like a stud pass rusher. We have about 3 of those guys already, so we don't need that. And then, of course, you need to be able to stop that pass, stop that run, which the Vikings suck at. So, of course, the Vikings have one of the worst defenses in the league. As of last week, this can change going forward. Someone can step up on the interior line. Someone can step up over Shamar Stephan. Someone can step up over Jaleel Johnson on that interior line. And the Vikings could be looking a lot better. And you can play Afadi on that interior side, on the inside when Danielle Hunter comes back. And the Vikings are looking like a good defensive line, given that maybe like Armon Watts, James Lynch, someone steps up into that starting role, which I can't say I'm going to think it's going to happen. I can't say I don't think it's going to happen. Hercules Mataafa isn't going to. I'm sorry, he is not going to. But Vikings have a lot of players on defense, and adding Stephon Gilmore is a perfect fit for that defense. Now, the Vikings will have to go on all this season. If the Packers end up having a bad season, which I don't think that's actually going to happen, I think the Packers will probably have a decent season. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to get very close to making the playoffs. And Vikings, if the division is looking open this year and the Vikings have a shot at a Super Bowl, trading for Stephon Gilmore is going to be really hard against the cap, and going forward, they're going to have to get rid of some players. But this season, that could get us a Super Bowl. If a corner looks good and you can play him starting, and Stephon Gilmore is probably the best corner at zone coverage in the entire league right now. Of course, Marshon Lattimore just destroys any receiver he's going up against. He can cover anything. Marshon Lattimore is amazing. And then outside of that, Gilmore is probably the best zone coverage corner in the entire game, and 2019 Defensive Player of the Year. Vikings will have to give up a lot for him if they do trade for him, which I don't think it's going to happen. At least it's not going to happen yet. It's not going to happen yet, of course, because we don't know how these corners are going to look. Of course, preseason is a big, rough thing for the Minnesota Vikings. We needed that preseason for these corners to step up, and we're going to have to treat these first couple games like a preseason, which is going to be hard for the Vikings defense and hard for the offense, really, because the offense is going to have a lot more pressure than the defense if they're going to be having to make up for the lack of defense that the Minnesota Vikings are going to have this season and probably this week and going forward. But halfway through the season, hopefully the defense can step up. Hopefully they can. When Daniel Hunter comes back, hopefully the Vikings can get to the passer better. Hopefully one of these corners can step up. And if not, trading for Stephon Gilmore might be a good decision for the Vikings, because that could really fill in the only hole that the Vikings might have. If the interior line starts looking good and the only hole is that lockdown corner, trading for Stephon Gilmore could complete the Vikings roster and make it a lot better. And say the offensive line starts looking good too. Dakota Dozier looked great. Dakota Dozier looked amazing. This week is going to be hard. Who is he going up against? This week's going to be hard for Dakota Dozier, though, but he looked great last week. I really liked how he looked on that left guard last week. And if Riley Reif ends up looking good, if Ezra Cleveland steps up for him, and our offensive line is looking good, the interior line, someone steps up on the interior line, Vikings will only have a hole at corner, and trading for Stephon Gilmore could complete the roster. Now, of course, Kirk makes some mistakes and in the playoffs might not work, but hey, it's worth a shot. If the NFC North looks open, trading for Stephon Gilmore is worth a shot. Let me know what y'all think.